Jenna's eating gummies. If anybody, if she came in too late there, wine gummies.
No, those are the 4D printed ones.
These are the 4D printed
grapes.
Look how squishy they are.
I've never even heard of wine gummies.
You've never heard of wine gums? Come on, Scott.
Wine gums?
No. Yeah, wine gums. Do they get those kinds of things in Kansas?
I had the first wine gums I ever bought were in Ireland because they were on tasting notes from SMWS bottles. They would use that, and I was like, "What the hell's a wine gum?"
That's how I learned about them.
They eat those.
No, go to like World Market, Scott. They usually have some there. If you guys have those,
yeah. All right, so welcome everybody. Yeah, you came in mid-conversation there. Quick, if you're watching, you don't know, I'm Scott.
I'm Zach.
I'm Jenna.
All with SMWS America branch, and we decided, hey, let's have a year in. Let's close out 2022. And actually, Ben was going to be here as well. Ben had a little mishap. He didn't want to be here so bad, he cut off one of his fingers. So
he's currently getting that touched up at the doctor, though, so he'll be okay.
No, he had a little mishap cooking tonight, and so he wasn't going to be able to make. I don't know. Hopefully, he's not still at the minor emergency or the ER,
whatever they go to for those injury things.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we're going to sit down tonight. We're going to talk about some of our favorite releases of the year. And we're going to talk about kind of a recap of 2022 or some of our highlights, what we liked being involved in, doing, releasing, tasting, and go from there. So
sounds fun.
And I just want to give everybody a heads up in chat. Wine gummies do not include any alcohol in them. They're just gummies.
That was my next question.
They don't. I do.
Non-alcoholic gummies.
But they do say, like, on the little gummies, like, this one says Rioja.
Yes. Some will say port.
This is
we were just conversing about the possibility of the fact that we had just learned that they were created for people that were alcoholics to try and get them away from being alcoholic with gummies that are chewy, putting the names of their favorite drinks on the gummies. Don't fact check me there, but that's what I read on the back of the bag of my wine gums that I just finished.
Well, it's on the bag. It has to be true.
Yeah. Duh. Beats Google, right?
So let's do kind of go through here a little bit, roll call, and see who all's tuning in. Mamuka 1977 was the first one to comment. Whiskey Franco. Mamuka and Whiskey Franco carried on a conversation between themselves for a while. Duke McHale, Adam Clary, Deborah Kay, Stewart of Butte, Dram Session, Josh Taylor, Ty Whitaker, Lady K, JT, Robbie Robson, Multicasking, Alexander Drought, Joe Combs, and Tim Swope. I talked to Tim on the phone today, as well as Joe Combs.
T-Roy. Oh, we got a few new ones coming in at the end, too. Hamish Burgess, Bill Monteith, Kilted Moose, and Bourbon Bossman, as well as Steve Balzac. There we go. We got a party coming in.
Yep. Kilted Moose from Scotland. We got to meet him when Bart and I were over there in 2019.
Oh, nice.
Scott. His name is Scott. Doug just came in. I'm wearing one of my highlights from 2022, and this was the gathering in New York.
That's a great addition there, Scott. I was going to chat about my highlights of being in New York this year, so it's phenomenal.
Yeah. I said when we got to New Year's, I was in New York in 1987, 1988, a long time ago on a school trip.
Two, Scott.
What's that?
I was 2.
I was -6.
Zach wasn't even born.
My parents didn't know each other.
But no, I said when we got there, and that was the first time we all got to meet up in person as well. I mean, we've met up on the phone, virtually, plenty of times. Yep. And that was the first time in person where we all got to meet up, and it was great. I had a blast. But one of my goals was I needed an "I Love New York" T-shirt. So Ben actually obliged me. He was out and about one day, and he saw a shop, and he ran in and grabbed him. I hadn't outside of the airport. I hadn't seen any. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and the ones I saw in the airport weren't as nice as this one. This one's a lot better.
No, it's beautiful. I don't even have one. I don't think I saw one at any point between the airport and the hotel.
I don't think I did either, actually. But just went from like the hotel to
the bar,
Delmano to
the bar again,
the lounge, back to Hotel Delmano, back to our hotel. Brooklyn Brewing. We didn't go too far.
I don't think that any of the alcoholic establishments that we went to sold any "I Love New York" T-shirts. So
they did not. No, they did not. So
Robbie Robson had comment, and everybody that's watching, comment in there what you're drinking tonight. If you're drinking SMWS or not, just whatever you're drinking. But earlier, Robbie Robson had commented that 2 middle fingers of scotch is fantastic, and that was one from the Gathering.
Yeah,
that we were all in New York for, and that was the one that Neil Patrick Harris got to name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a few people talking about that. I see Whiskey Franco said he was about 6 and probably rocking a bowl cut when you were last there. I can confirm I was also probably rocking a bowl cut at 6 years old. So,
but that wasn't in 1988, Zach. No. That was in 1998.
No, 1999.
Oh my God! It rocks.
It was a pretty good one, though. I think I saw a picture of it. It was pretty great.
God, made me feel old.
I might have been 5. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Ooh, that is good whiskey.
I'll think Kilton Moose said he's trying to count all the bottles behind us. And funny enough, we were all just talking about counting our bottles right before we went live.
Hey, we do this so you people watching don't have to.
Yeah, we spend the money so you don't have to spend the money on all.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
There's a good question. So hello Ty, it's lovely to see you here. I talked to him a couple of days ago. Really awesome member. But he had asked if the bottles are empty or if they're full, and every bottle, but at least behind me, has whiskey in it. All at different levels, but they all have whiskey in it.
I don't remember seeing Ty ever comment, but yeah.
I think the lowest 2 bottles I have behind me are this one and that one, and they're out because they're the lowest I have, and I want to empty them.
Yeah, that's about how mine are too. I mean, there are some of my favorites of the year are they're like to here. But
I'll grab a few and show you. Yeah, they're all.
All the almost full ones are all in the closed cabinets behind. All the other ones are just scattered around. Well, I guess this one, I have all my Christmas malts in my Christmas display, but this one's almost empty. This is a 2018. So
I someone had asked me one time too. They were like, "Are those all empty behind you?" And I'm like, I don't have room for empty bottles.
I don't drink enough to have empty bottles, to be honest.
Yeah, I got to get rid of the empties, make room for the ones with whiskey left in them.
Yep.
So it's a good catalog to have, and with Bart and I doing the Scotch Test Dummies, having 400, 500, 600 different bottles of bourbon, scotches, and stuff. It's a neat library to have when a new whiskey comes about. Being able to go back and compare them, or pull out 2 or 3 different, core range bottles from one distillery and look at them. And really with ours, it's that way too. When we see these, you say you get a 12-year-old distillery number 7, you go pull out 1 or 2 other 12-year-old number 7s if you have them and compare them and kind of see, what they're like beside each other.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I usually love saving them. Like you, I don't keep my empty bottles, but on the library section, whenever I do empty a bottle, I actually save the label as good as I can, be it with wine label remover or by cooking the glue off in the oven, because I like going back and seeing if you throw it in the oven for long enough,
Hair dryer.
That too, I guess. It melts the glue behind it. And I like taking them off because then I get to go back and look through the scrapbook of all the different whiskeys that I've been able to empty through the years, because I don't have the room for empty bottles. I think my head might get cut off if I start collecting empty bottles and putting them randomly around the house. So, yeah, but no, it's great to just kind of go through and, like you said, Scott, if I have a whiskey at a bar or something, or if I'm able to sample it with someone, being able to come back and be like, oh, what did this one taste like? It's similar in age or a different cask or something of the sort. So, oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like I said, pulled all the bottles that were like in the back to the front because I had so many back there that I hadn't seen in a year. What's back there?
I forget what I have sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I forgot about that bottle.
Because this is just like work whiskey. Like I have Jenna not work whiskey in the other part of the house. And I'm really only in here when I'm working, so at the end of the day, if we go to have a whiskey, usually my husband's like, I want something from the society, and I'll come in and just kind of close my eyes and grab something, but it's typically just something that's like on the front row,
Yeah.
So
I don't dig through them. I'm like, oh, this looks good. Let's go ahead and pour that.
Yeah. Or you always have, have somebody go grab, just, tell your spouse, go grab one, go pour me something, and then sit down with it blind and try to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
That's really fun. It makes it really fun when you have a larger library too, because you literally have no idea. I have friends that they're like, I got 10 bottles, and I love when they, grab a random one and pour it for me. And then you start to understand of the 10 bottles, which ones you have. But yeah, no, I get humbled quite often whenever I do a blind that I just don't know, because I don't know I have it.
To say the least.
Yep. Well, as we're sitting here talking, let's start let's just start with our number 5 whiskey, and then we can talk some more a little bit, and then we'll come in with our number 4 maybe. And
all right.
You guys want me to go first, or one of you?
Yeah.
All right. I've my number 5 I don't have anymore. It's so good, it's gone. And it was one of the bourbons we released this year. It was B5.5 Relentless Gratification. It was a 4-year-old, and it's literally one of the best bourbons I've ever had.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I just picked whiskeys that I have here. I didn't pick
didn't.
I no longer have.
I picked my top of the year. My number 5 coming in, though, was a big surprise to me, as it's not typically a distillery that I reach for. It's one that I've had a few expressions of over the years that have just been okay. I haven't thought much of it, but it was cask 59.65 Red Oak. That was a really, really cool surprise to me. I mean, if anybody has seen me on here before, they know my love for wine casks and whiskey. So this one, I had a feeling I might enjoy, but was really surprised by how much I truly did enjoy it beyond just the first sip. So that was a nice little surprise for me of the year.
Yeah, that was a really good whiskey. Had I gone through whiskeys that I no longer have here, I would have had probably a very different selection. But I just went with what I still actually have in the bottle here. That's how I kind of approached it. But yeah, there were some whiskeys that I finished and wish dearly that I had. Many of.
You should have done it. You should have just went through. Here, go ahead, hurry up and go through the 5 that you just don't even know, and just come back.
Yeah, no, I just did the ones that I have on the shelf. So, well, my number 5 is not in a green bottle. My number 5 would be batch 16.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is one of our blended batches that was in ex-bourbon and Australian Muscat Barriques. And I love our blended batches. Literally every blended batch that I've been able to taste, I've loved. And they usually leave as quick as, they come into the house, just because they're that good. And this one's getting quite low. But this was just an easy, lovely, just delicious whiskey that you can just sit with at the end of the day. You don't have to think too much about it. I don't know. I just really liked it. So batch 16.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the bottle design too. The label design is really nice.
This one was like extra pretty.
That one's super
For sure.
special.
Yeah. A very just Jenna.
It reminds me of the old, like our original batches, the exotic cargos.
Yeah.
Which I actually have right here.
That's rude. See, I wish I had an exotic cargo. That whiskey is fantastic.
I got this bottle before I even knew what the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society was. It's a much more basic logo, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So this is not a 2022 bottle, though, I must say.
God, when was that released? Like 20?
That was the first. Wasn't that the first one?
It was. This was blended batch number 1. I think it was between 2016 and 2018. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, this one was that one drew me in. That's what got me here.
That one was really fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ty Whitaker is asking Jenna, what does your husband gravitate towards?
Bourbon. He's a bourbon guy. So anytime I pull a Scotch off the shelf for him, he loves anything at cash strength and anything ex-bourbon. So easy to please.
Oh, I'm seeing everybody's stuff here, by the way. Everybody is drinking some good stuff tonight. I don't know if people are in the celebrating mood, but I see 2 people, Josh and Doug, are both sipping on 95.53 in Boozy Basket.
Wow.
Looks like JT was rocking his bowl cut in the 70s. Welcome to the club, JT. 108.41 Burnt Dust. 46122 Deep Dark Sense. I know that one's actually still available.
Yeah, nice.
We've got, look at that. One of our rare releases, our rare release 36 from this year. That was a good one. Reward for Patience. We got George Kaplan. Hello, George. Good to see you here. Starting off with 108.19 and moving on to one of my favorites from, I believe it was last year, 3.324 Split Personality. That's a wonderful one. That was a good one.
Do you remember Sense of Perfection? Did you ever get to taste that? Any of you? 3 point. Oh, I can't remember.
Probably not.
Sense of Perfection. I think that was in like 2017, maybe. Holy crap, that whiskey was like.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Oh, God.
Another one I'm jealous of is our lovely Sue is sipping on 30.111 Inferno Toffee Pudding. Talk about a stellar bottle.
I gotta taste that.
That is a wonderful bottle from what, 2 years ago? If that 3?
I think that's longer. Yeah.
That actually might have been 2019. That is a phenomenal bottle there.
This still has like the sticky stuff on from when I moved across the country.
That was the one that I bought before I started working with SMWS. Yeah.
I sadly finished my bottle off, so I do not have that one. So
Mine's still about half full.
Yeah,
I'm gonna sit here and be jealous of you guys as you drink.
I'm gonna taste it. I haven't tasted this in
a long time. I'm gonna sip my exotic cargo then. I don't know the last time I drank this one.
Ooh, my cork was stuck there a little bit.
Mine was too. I was like, I hope this isn't dry.
Don't do it. Kilted Moose is sipping on 7.256 called Fruity Wax. It's a 17-year-old. Okay.
He's in the UK. That's probably one of their releases.
Yeah. Eric Waite is waiting for me to come back to San Francisco. Yes, Eric, I will be back soon. So
that's actually to kind of segue really quickly.
Yeah.
For our in-person tastings, which I know we'll talk about because that was probably a huge highlight for, at least Zach and I. We will not be having in-person tastings for the month of January just because the January outturn falls so close to the new year. And so the January outturn is actually going to be on January 10th. Just to kind of give you a heads up, there are going to be no in-person tastings for the month of January, and we will start those back up in February. So just a heads up on that. I've had a few people ask when those are going to start back up, and they will be back in February.
Yeah, we will be there. I do want to point one thing out here. Ty asked us a question and said, "What do you guys do when you love one and it is gone? A log or book?" As I said, I save my labels. I enjoy keeping those around. I'll put the ones I like in a different section than just like a catalog. But I usually also remember the ones that really, really stand out to me. I don't know you guys, but that's kind of how I go about mine. So.
I don't save anything. No, it's all locked away up here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, whoa. That whiskey. Long time. I don't either. I have like notebooks, like many, like one of my cabinets under here is just full of all my tasting notebooks. So I take, pretty good tasting notes for the most part, but that's about the furthest I go. So.
Sorry, I see George Kaplan asked if we have 9-finger Ben's list, and the Whiskey Franco said his is a top 4. Man,
I'm gonna get all the jokes now.
Yeah.
If Ben is watching, we're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I would be interested to see what he picked.
I would be too.
Ben and I pick similar things sometimes. A lot of times.
I'm curious to see if any of us picked some similar favorites.
Yeah.
But with that, do we want to move on to number 4?
All right.
I didn't put these in order. I don't like doing that.
I did it after Scott said it.
I know. I did too. I was like, I have to have it in a top 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I was like, crap. I was like,
this is just this is your number 4 of your top 5.
One of.
Yeah, one of. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
What's
right.
next up?
No particular order.
I do have my top 1 is a particular order, but the other 4 are not.
Okay.
I don't even know if I could do that.
I don't normally, but there was one whiskey that really blew my mind. Like it was, great. And I don't like talking about that kind of stuff because I don't like swaying people's decisions or their thoughts. But there was one whiskey that I've probably raved about to a lot of people that I've conversed whiskey with that just blew my mind.
I have one of those too. I think it was just because it was so good. It was just one of those whiskeys that's just so good. And I recommended this whiskey to like a jillion people, I feel like. And actually, I think there is one on Last Drops.
Ooh, was there or is there?
I don't know. I have to check. So I'll make that one.
Save it for your last one.
I'll save it for my last one. So what is yours?
Scott, what is that number 4 for you?
Me? All right.
I went first last time, so yes.
Okay. Jenna can go ahead.
All right. So this is just one of 5. 135.35 stellar stuff from my beloved distillery that I can't say, but you know what it is.
Wait, is that 112 by chance?
This is 135.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just 12-year. It was ex-bourbon hogshead and then new oak heavy charred hoggy, and I just love this whiskey. Actually, this is my second bottle of this, and typically I don't do that too often. And this was one of those. So yeah, stellar stuff. Juicy oak and vanilla. Good old ex-bourbon, which has been my kind of go-to this year, and I just really, really liked this whiskey. So that's one of them.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I actually don't too often buy a second of a bottle. I drink it, I have the experience enough, and then I move on to something else. Yeah. But there are a few whiskeys that I know, and funny enough, one of them is Glenfarclas 15. I can drink it at any time, any place. I've got about 4 bottles of it. But other than that, I think the Springbank Burgundy was another one that I bought.
Oh my God. That whiskey, I wish I had like bathtubs full of that stuff. because I would just drink it every day. It's so good. I love that.
Mine is my last bottle is right here. It's about half full. Yeah. But I guess my number 4 will go with I do have is 53.391. It was Dark Secrets. That was a good one. I hear people also that have been here for a few years know that my love for Pete is still rather new, but this was one that I thought just the balance was suitable to my palate in every way. Between that Oloroso and that bourbon, it was just so that was a good one.
I agree.
Ty Whitaker saying, Scott, talk. We love you as well. I'm letting everybody else talk.
Scott's on every video. He always talks.
Yeah. I got to let you guys get your emotions and your feelings out there, and then I go. And my number 4, Jenna already touched on, Full Bloom, and I don't have the bottle because it's so good it was gone. Yep.
Okay, some overlap.
What's that?
This is very interesting because my number 3 has already been said too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So but no, Full Bloom. I agree. That one. Was it 18-year-old? Yeah, and then aged was it Speyside?
Yeah.
Yeah. Speyside and aged in the Australian Muscat wine
Yeah.
barriques, and it was just an amazing blended batch. A great job on that one. Love the label as well.
Yeah.
It was so fruity, and me and you did the reveal on that one, Jenna, and I remember it really was just an outstanding whiskey.
I agree.
Of course it was because my bottle's gone. Same with B5.5.
Yeah. I'm excited to see our blended batches, for 2023. And I tell people, when I talk to people, like when I do onboarding sessions for new members and stuff, I always, talk about a blended batch. Just because they're like the one bottle that we release that isn't in a green bottle and not bottled at cask strength, and so it's
they're all at 50% though.
All at 50%, 50% and clear bottle. But they're fantastic. They're so good. And I think, the cool thing about these is it's like, the spirits team over in the UK gets to kind of have a little bit of fun, like let their hair down, and kind of just experiment and kind of see what happens. And we've gotten some really fantastic whiskey out of that. So
in fact, as soon as I called that one a blended batch, though, that one was odd because it wasn't. That one's a single malt.
It is single malt. You're right.
But we combined several casks from one distillery to.
Right.
It was more of a small batch release. It kind of fell into that blended batch category, and we have to get better at that because it's so easy for us to just say blended batch just because that's typically what they all are, but it's actually part of the Heresy line. That's what like the line of them is called. And actually there's a great write-up about these in Unfiltered. I think it was last year. Maybe you can kind of go back and filter through Unfiltered, but they did a great write-up about them and talking about each of the releases, which was kind of cool. So yeah, great whiskeys. I'm sipping one of my top 5s, and it's delicious.
I am too.
Can't reveal
number 1, and I'm like, God, this whiskey's so freaking good.
I'm sipping the favorite from 7 years ago or whatever it was. So,
well, Zach, I'm curious, what is your number 3?
My number 3. So, again, as most of you that do come here often know, there's one distillery in particular that I love very much. And this entire cabinet is full of like 20 something expressions from them. And it is, this one just happened to be just recently released in cask 68.71, rather scrumptious. I can't not have a 68 in my top 5. It's always there. So that one was another good one. I mean, the distillery itself takes to sherry so well. You have like a small ashy undertone to most of them, but the sherry blends so well with their distillate. And this was just another great example of what they can put out, being someone that doesn't really bottle much outside of independent bottlers. So I might have it. It's one of these mother loads of SMWS bottles right there. So,
And some of the best sherried whiskeys that I've had have been Distillery 68. They do some really good, some really deep, dark sherry maturations.
Yeah.
And good non-sherry as well.
I know. Really fantastic non-sherried whiskey.
So, what about you, Scott? Where are you at for number 3?
Just like Full Bloom, my number 3's already been mentioned as well. 53.391 Dark Secrets.
Dude, that's my number 3. What the heck?
Yeah.
I should have waited.
Yeah.
God.
9-year-old Distillery 53, 56.2%, second maturation and a second fill Oloroso hogshead. And we get just a really nice, gentle influence of sherry on this one, along with Distillery 53.
There we go. We're all together again.
I can't. This is amazing.
I wondered if that was the same one that you mentioned. You said one of yours was
yes.
But no, this one was we get all of our not a lot of 53s, but once a month, every other month we get a Distillery 53. They've all been phenomenal releases. This one, though, being in that second fill Oloroso, was just
it's
magical.
Sherry cask matured whiskeys for me, as I'm sure everyone knows, they are not typically what I gravitate toward, and so it has to like really impress me, right? But peat and sherry is like a no-brainer for me. Like there's just something about the peat that, like you said, just really, I feel like balances out the sherry, and like they just work really beautifully together. Whereas, sometimes when you just have a sherry cask matured whiskeys, it's just like, I'd rather just drink a sherry. And peat and sherry match.
They are a match made. It's like butter and jelly. It is what it is.
It really is.
There's a reason that everybody likes it, because it's delicious.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. And Eric Waite Whiskey Study said he did try Sense of Perfection 3 point. It was like 3 point. Yeah, something. And he had it too. And that whiskey was so good. Oh my gosh, so good. But this, Dark Secrets.
I might have to sip this split personality here. We keep talking about peat and sherry, and this is just one.
I know.
Now, granted, it's an STR barrique, so it's not necessarily sherry, but the split personality
maybe this is what
is so perfect in explaining it.
And that's what
having it with homemade vanilla ice cream.
I literally just got off the phone with someone not an hour ago telling me to try an Old and Dignified on vanilla ice cream. That's amazing.
That's what I'm drinking. Dark Secrets, though, the 53.393 is what I'm drinking. That's what's in my glass.
Yeah.
I just put a little bit of the Dark Secrets in my glass.
Am I supposed to drink it with you guys now too? Jeez, I guess so. Finish this one first.
That's hilarious. Wow. Great minds.
Sorry, Scott. I had to glug that one so I could pour this one. I know that's against your creed, but
there's been a couple people commenting about what their first SMWS whiskey was. And I'm trying I can't. Romantic Inspiration. I think we did a collaboration, Bart and I, with Ben, 2016, maybe. And I think it was Romantic Inspiration was the name of it. Other than that, I can't remember anything, but it was good, really good. Do you guys remember your very first SMWS whiskey?
I'm scrolling to look. Because I think mine was about the same time as yours, because I think we were introduced, via Ben around the same time, like that 2016. Mm-hmm. And I gotta look.
I actually still have my bottle from the first bottle I ever bought. It was before I worked here. It was my first bottle ever as a member. And funny enough, this was before I knew about the distillery. It is cask 68.23, Nighttime Lilies and Espresso.
Wow.
And I bought it because of the name. Little did I know that a few years later I would learn to love the distillery, and I went back and realized where this bottle was from. So
Let's see. I have to scroll far.
In fact, I think that bottle might be 35.162 if that's the right one. Yep, Romantic Inspiration. It was a 21-year-old. Yeah, 35.162. It was a 21-year-old, and it was just a gorgeous whiskey. And the thing is, we don't have our release dates on here, so I can't tell you when that was, but
Mine was 7.184 handbags and hookahs.
oh,
And our spicy and dry flavor profile. It was that 37.96 cinnamon semolina pudding, 4.229 volcanic jam, which I held on to that for like a billion years because that whiskey was so fantastic. And then an R7.1. That was like my first dive into the society.
that, I think, what did I have? I had one other one that I think I ordered around the same time. I'm just checking my first ever order from 2018. Let's see.
a lot of comments coming in on people's first ones. Everybody remembers their first whiskey.
I had my favorite society whiskey ever wasn't the first one I had, but I'll never forget that one. And I know we're not allowed to have favorites, but it is my favorite.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to have favorites, or we're not allowed to talk about our favorites.
We're not allowed to talk about our favorites.
George Kaplan, he remembers 122.22 Smolder and Solder was my first wow it was our 5-year anniversary here in Wichita. He still has one bottle for a future event. I might even have partial one of that one left.
That one was really fantastic. I'm seeing some like nostalgic bottles in here. That's so awesome.
Ty Whitaker says, I can't get my wife past who does Jenna's hair.
I do it myself.
And he says, she loves your hair, Jenna.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Do you do it yourself?
I do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have a girl, she's awesome. And she like freshens up my blonde. And then I do like whatever, this purple gray color. And then I just do this, all of the red, like the purple and this myself. Yeah.
I'm going to come to work next week with blue tips.
Do it.
I need your help. I don't quite know how to do that myself.
I always figured you just spent a lot of money at the hairdressers.
No. I saved the money for the whiskey. Oh my gosh, they're so welcome as warm as a welcoming hug. I saw another one in here that was cask 29.234 smoked and salted toffee apples. I had that in Vegas with Ben, and that's when I interviewed for the society. And that whiskey was just
I'm a little jealous.
That was fantastic. Yeah.
One of my first ones that I still remember that wasn't like the first whiskey, but that someone shared with me was cigar juice, and that was phenomenal.
That was like one of those culty casks that people went kind of ate poo for that. And
it was funny because I was sitting at a cigar lounge in Miami with a few people who had brought the bottle, and another member happened to walk into the cigar lounge and found out what we were drinking and tried to buy the bottle from the person who had it because they liked it so much.
Yeah, I believe it. That was a really, really, really good whiskey.
Joseph Horton said one of his first was Pajamas for the Soul, G1.18. A G1 was one of my favorites. It was Chardonnay flavored white wine gums, actually. I think that came out in the UK only, but I ended up with 2 bottles of that because I gifted the remainder of one of them to a friend, so I had to buy another.
There's some super nostalgic cask in there. That's pretty awesome.
This is so nice to just look back through.
I know.
Evan Belt says, I can't remember my first one, but I remember getting a year's worth of a shipment in one amazing delivery.
I imagine Evan has a nice little collection going on. He's picked up some good stuff.
JT met Scott at the Bastards Ball in Austin, learned a lot about the SMWS, and was sold from there. Very nice, JT.
Red Diesel. That was another
I
one.
remember that one. Yeah. I think Ben really liked that one.
Yeah. His barbecue and fishnets.
That was another one that was just stellar.
Yeah. Ben knocked it out of the park for sure. Did. That whiskey was, man, that was gorgeous.
Mamuka 1977 says, it wasn't a whiskey that got me here. It was Scott, and I'm thankful.
Aw.
Thanks, Mamuka.
Awesome.
Eric Waite tasted the cigar juice at the Whiskey Vault in Austin after the Bastards Ball.
Nice.
Matthew Welch, first bottle I bought after the new member sampler pack was a Distillery 53 rare release, Throw the Cork Away. That one was magnificent.
That one was actually really, really good. That gave me some like Octomore vibes.
That one, I was going to pair that one up with Dark Secrets, and I thought, no, I'm just going to stick with Dark Secrets. But no, Throw the Cork Away, 8-year-old Oloroso cask maturation on that one, and it was really good as well. Almost made it.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, shall we cruise into her number
2?
JT said he's still impressed, Scott, that you knew how to pronounce his last name. It's Taves, and the only reason I know that is because I'm from Chicago, and he's a phenomenal hockey player. At least I'm going to assume that's how you pronounce it, JT.
Yep. I had a neighbor with his that spelling of his last name, and that's how it was pronounced. So I didn't know it from hockey, but just from a neighbor. Yep. All right, yeah, number 2.
Number 2, shall we?
I guess.
All right. So my number 2 is a fairly recent one, and the only reason that I'm selecting it is because, one, it's fantastic. And this is probably in recent years one of the bottles that has probably been like drained the fastest. And that's 55.70 Royal Bouquet. I just
eye on that.
Freaking love this whiskey. So yeah, 15 years, space eye, 57.7%, second fill ex-bourbon hogshead. So like you read it on paper and you're like, okay, and then I tasted it and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like everything I just love about everything in a whiskey. Like this, like old books and libraries and like rich leather and like tea, this like black tea note, and has this like tangy finish on the end. And man, it is just like, and I agree with the Whiskey Franco. I know he posted about this too. The nose on this whiskey, like you want to just get yourself inside of the glass. The nose on this whiskey is just like, I mean, it just sucks you right in. It was just absolutely fantastic.
I'm so very jealous. That was one that I was really like, do I want to get it myself? What do I want?
It is so good. So good. So that's my number 2.
All right, I'll go with my number 2 since Zach went twice, or last time. I know you went second, right?
I don't know. Yeah. I've lost count.
This one came up earlier in conversation from the gathering. 2 Middle Fingers of Scotch. Yes.
Scott, you and I tasted that together as
that's right.
Was starting.
Yep.
In New York. That was a great one.
10-year-old, this was the global gathering. Neil Patrick Harris named this one. 10-year-old exclusive maturation. Double maturation, though, ex-Oloroso butt, and then a first fill ex-Oloroso butt. 66.3%. Sherry bomb. 63.82 is the distiller on this one. And 63 does some marvelous sherry maturations as well.
Yeah. They know what they're doing there.
And Ty is asking what I just poured. My number 1, which is coming up next.
Ooh.
Not this one.
He can't tell ya.
Oh, should we pour number 1?
we're on 2, right? Number two, I do have with me, and I've enjoyed this with actually quite a few members myself. This was one that if anybody from San Francisco was at the event, I did pour this at my table. It is cask 38.30, an abundance of hidden delights. It's almost a cheat code because it's a distillery 38. But this was one where I had people coming back. It was at the Fog City social event at Wingtip. I had people coming back to my table just to get more of this one because they liked it so much. And I was along with them sipping it throughout the night. So it was a pretty easy addition to my list. But it was just a wonderful, wonderful pour from, beginning to end.
Can't go wrong with that.
No.
I poured that in Miami and I got the same reaction. Everybody was like, holy cow, like, what is this?
It is what it is. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, really beautiful whiskey.
I didn't get that one.
I'm shocked.
I'll share some with you, Scott.
Of all those bottles behind you.
The one bottle you didn't get.
The one
in case anybody was wondering, they're like, hey, Scott's not saying much. I don't have that one, so I can't comment. It sounds delicious.
He has every other one, but not this one.
Right, exactly.
Because I have it and Scott doesn't.
It's the one bottle Scott doesn't have.
Yep. So, well, hey, we've gotten to number 1. So I'm just really, really curious to hear what your guys is because it's always exciting just to see what other people have really, really enjoyed throughout the year.
So do you think Scott's is a dirtiff?
From the color of that, yes. There's
it's
no
clearly a dirtiff.
I'm going to assume it's a fill.
I don't want there to be any confusion here or any misunderstandings about the color of this one.
I think it's a Young and Sprightly and a refill bourbon hogshead.
There you go.
I'll go first if you guys are ready. You want to get into number 1?
Let's do it.
Do it.
24.167. Glory Days.
Stop.
No.
He said, no.
13-year-old exclusive maturation here in sherry butts. Double maturation, but initial cask was ex-sherry butt. Final cask, a first fill ex-Oloroso hogshead, 63.3%. And I think they named this one Glory Days because it goes back to some of the old days with Distillery 24 and some of their sherry maturation. This one is it's gorgeous. It's just a beautiful, sherried Distillery 24.
That is the distillery that got me into whiskey from the 80s, 18 year, 24.
Can we say the name? I don't like saying 24.
I know.
Macallan?
Everyone knows it's
Macallan.
Macallan 12 year. I still love Macallan 12 year. People say, what can I get you? Macallan 12 is fine.
My favorite is my entry into whiskey. I was watching the show Suits, and the main character Harvey always had a bottle of Macallan 18. He was a big lawyer, and that was his thing for when people came into the office. So I went to a cheesecake factory back in 2014. I was very freshly 21, and I was like, what is the big hype? Why do people love it? And I got a Macallan 18. I think I paid $25, which was a lot for me as a very young child working at the mall. And the first thought was, wow, this is terrible. Why do people like this stuff? But it was my first whiskey. I had no idea. And it was what brought on my interest in why do people like whiskey? What is this stuff? Yeah. What makes it so special? And I can confidently say that I was just a very nubile child in my palate and didn't know what it was, and have since tasted many of them and enjoyed them. But I feel like that's a lot of people's entry into whiskey nowadays is through that distillery.
Yeah. I remember tasting that, and I wanted to do it mostly out of spite, to be honest, because Jarrell had this smug ass look on his face when he was drinking it. And I was like, I'll drink it too. Pour me a glass, and I was like, I'm just gonna like tough my way through this, whatever. And then I tasted it and I was like, what is happening? What my body like froze. And I was like, what is happening? Like, this is the most, I've never tasted anything like this. Like, I don't even know how to describe what I'm tasting. And I was like, this is whiskey? Like, there's no way this is whiskey. And then that was it.
It's mind blowing. It's just one of those things that it's a very solid, whiskey in a bottle that anybody can enjoy. Anybody can pick it up, and it kind of showcases what a Scotch whiskey would theoretically be minus peat. It's just hard to go wrong. So,
they are getting pricey. I'll agree with that, but I still think they release good whiskeys.
Yeah,
quality. It's a quality product. It's quality sherry casks, which is what you can ask for. And yes, it's getting very, very pricey, but supply and demand obviously are always more and more people want it, and that's what happens to it. So but these single casks are a whole level above any bottles on the shelf.
But this is the one bottle. If you look at this bottle, I've had several pours from it. It's down a little bit lower than most of my bottles, but this is the one I'm going to drink and enjoy, and then I'll always remember it. I'll be like, "You remember that 13-year-old Glory Days?" I'm like, "That was a good one."
That was a good one. That was a solid glass of whiskey.
That's right.
Man. All right. Well, Zach.
All right, I can go. I do not own a bottle of this whiskey. This is one that was actually a lottery bottle for us this year. And someone was so very generous to open for me and share. And it was in a cask that you don't really see much, but I had not really had much whiskey from. It is cask 130.5, harmonious as a barbershop quartet. And
wow.
It was
wow.
It was a few years in an imperial stout cask. And Japanese whiskey nowadays is very hard to discern quality, history, distillation from Japanese whiskey boom and craft distilleries. And so going into any of it, pricing is just outrageous. So there's always an air of, is it really going to be worth its cost? And this entry cost was something that I would pay twice over because it was just so well intertwined from whiskey to cask that I went back for about 3 pours that night, and it was just phenomenal. That was one that, again, I don't think a lot of people open their bottles that come from that distillery, usually ever. And if you go to auction, you see them everywhere. This was one that I was very fortunate to be able to try. And again, this is another cheat code, but it was just, it was what it was. This was hands down probably my favorite whiskey of the year. Out of anything, be it out of SNWS, out of any other bottle. I mean, this left an impact on me that I continuously want to go back to. I just got to bug the people that have the bottle to let me more.
That's awesome. I love that. That's it. That's awesome.
That was. So
it's funny when I first got into whiskey, and Jarrell brought home this like crate full of whiskey. There was one in there, and I'm going back to look at when I was drinking this. Like, I knew nothing about whiskey, like literally nothing. And it was the first. It was that's what it was. Distillery 130, and then the first. And it was so fantastic. And I just remember drinking that whiskey and just being like, holy cow, like this is just beautiful. And look at this. Back in 2017, look at me drinking friggin' Distillery 130.
And it's funny because when I tasted it, it was actually a tasting of only Distillery 130s. And there were some big hitter bottles in there that, sell for hundreds and hundreds of dollars over retail on the table, and, original distillery bottlings and whatnot. This one was hands down 4 levels above everything else, and it was just. There's another one. There's the U.S. edition.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a damn good whiskey.
yeah.
Mhm.
Mine was just 3 years. Amazing, beautiful, like, and just drinking it like it was nothing, like it was water. Like I could just go down to like Trader Joe's and pick up another bottle. Had I
wish.
had the knowledge, I would still have that bottle today.
In 2017, you probably could have went down there.
Maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe.
Now, granted, just for those that aren't usually drinking Japanese whiskey, this distillery typically bottles things from 3 to 6 years. It is a very new distillery. It's still very fresh on the scene. It just does a really good job. This whiskey, 130.5, was actually a 9-year-old whiskey. And it also had, 6 years in that imperial stout cask. So the first 3 were in bourbon, but the remaining 6 were in a stout cask. So it was a very old whiskey for the distillery. And its secondary cask was, most of its life. It was 66% of its life, which is a very rare thing to happen. So this was just one that you don't see every day. And it just so happens that we got to release it and we had a stellar cask. So, and it is neither Nika or Suntory Mamuka.
That's
So, So yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to take over our SNWS tasting with the Japanese.
No.
whiskey.
No,
Perfect.
whiskey.
Yes, this was absolutely stellar.
That's awesome, man. Well,
Jenna.
mine's not. Mine is okay. So the spicy and sweet flavor profile has just captured me this year. I've really enjoyed a lot of whiskeys out of that flavor profile this year. And my top is actually one too. And it's a Zachy favorite.
Me.
Yeah. So we do have one bottle of
Is
this.
it Floral Laurel?
It is. Yes. 6.5. Look, there's literally look, can you see the fill line in this?
Yes.
There's nothing left. I'm like nursing it. Just 12-year, refill ex bourbon hogshead. And this whiskey was just absolutely stellar. And I just loved it so much. And I recommended this bottle to so many people. And just really, 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 really enjoyed it. The notes on this is, if you really liked that 55.70, I mean, this is like, man.
Well, there's mine, Jen. It's still got, it's mostly full. So I'll just have to get this bottle to you.
Yeah, you just have to send it to me.
Wait, send it to me. I don't have it yet.
I'll have to arrange for you to get this.
I'll just drive over and pick it up.
That's a long drive to Kansas. Let me tell you, I did it last year and there's not much there to look at.
There's not much to look at. Nope.
I was also driving to Colorado though, so I got the whole desert plains.
I mean, it's just like, it's in my glass now, and it's just beautiful. This whiskey is just beautiful. There's this like bell peppery, horseradishy kind of thing happening on the nose. That's like, but it's not like off-putting. It's just, I don't know. It's just really beautiful. And that would be it. And I can't even believe it is a Distillery 68. That is a shock for me.
Yeah. There's now, and this isn't a sales pitch, just so everybody knows, there's one bottle left of that 68.65 on our last drops. So if you want it, you need to call tomorrow.
You have to
one
call
bottle
to get it.
But just so JT knows, I just poured that split personality into my freshly emptied glass. So
there's a little bit of color on that one.
There is. Well, it's an STR barrique, so it is still freshly, recharred.
Yeah.
And barrique doesn't really matter at that point, but it's a good one. This is one that is also almost empty. Let's see if you can see that level there. It's about right here, which is pretty empty for my whiskey bottles.
Yeah. That's why I was like, when I was looking at them, I was like picking them up and I was like, yeah, this is still pretty full. Like the 55.70 I really love, but this is like empty.
Listen,
not usually what goes on back here, but man.
I have room for one more bottle of 68 in my 68 shelf.
S Armor says, I left a message for that Floral Laurel. I tell you what, S Armor, right. I'll create a draft for you right now because you're going to have to call in to get it. Is that your name? SR. What's your, do you want to put your name in the
We'll
chat
set it
here,
for you.
or
Hey,
send me an email, scott@smwsa.com, and I'll create a draft for you and save it.
This is customer service, guys. Scott.
And it's rewards for watching YouTube. Oh, he called SR. Well, he called today, so he didn't even call based on this. So he called earlier requesting it. Let's see.
Scott's got you covered.
Yep. Are you in Holland, Pennsylvania, Sean? Make sure I got the right person here.
It's him. Well, you'll have to
68.65.
Yeah, 68.65.
We could do this. This could actually boost, our YouTube, how the boss views YouTube. We'd be like, look at all the whiskey we sell on people watching. Just order whiskey from us right while we're live streaming.
I mean, that just happened to be because like when I just pulled these out before, and then when I went to look, I was like, oh my gosh, we have one left. I was like, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What are the odds?
Look, Scott, I have one spot right here for that, half full bottle that you have, just in case you need somewhere to store.
Oh, okay. No, that's like 7/8 full. It's one of those that's only got a couple ounces out of it.
All of these are like 7/8 full. All of them. I just bounce back and forth. I think there's one that's almost empty, actually. But my second bottle is at a buddy's house in Florida that is waiting to be driven to my house.
It's a really like big, like meaty kind of whiskey. And I really liked that. So
no, it's really good.
Crazy.
All right, Sean, your draft is being created. Just call in tomorrow. It's saved for you, and we'll ring you up.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see. Like we were kind of in line with a lot of these, but our top picks were all very different.
Completely different.
Yeah, all very different.
3 different cask types, 3 different flavor profile. Whoa. Yeah, no. I think mine was a Dirtiff, I will say. Mine was a Dirtiff. But I mean, still, it's a completely different country. So
I know, just all very different. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
The Whiskey Franco says that deserves a great Yelp review for service. Right?
Everybody create a Yelp channel for Scott Brunau.
But where'd it go? Somebody was gonna order from Last Drops, and they ended up ordering. Oh, there it is, Robbie Robson. I looked at the Last Drops and ended up ordering Jenna's Hidden Gems instead.
Oh, nice. Well, let me know what you think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey guys and gals, great stream, great year.
That was we had
Nice
an awesome year for sure.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to getting back out there in person and hosting events, and hoping to get to some more cities across the country this year. And I know we're gonna
see where we end up.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Real quick, just thinking about it, on the Last Drops, I tell people call in. You have to call in to place an order, but most of the time, and the phone starts ringing as soon as that email goes, and we're on the phone. But just keep calling every 5-10 minutes until somebody picks up, because we're
the 3 answering those phones, so we can only answer 1 at a time each.
Yeah.
So.
But we're going, it's first come, first served, and voicemails don't get done till later, and emails aren't going to work because we need to get your payment information, credit card, and all that. Mm-hmm. So it's if you call and no one answers, or it goes to voicemail, just wait 5 minutes or so, call back, and just keep calling until somebody picks up is the best way to do the Last Drops. Mm-hmm. So I just let it ring till Jenna picks it up.
And I just let it ring until someone else picks it up. So
So look, if you keep calling, I'll get to you eventually. I got all these fuckers phone calls.
Scott and I will be on the phone with each other, just hanging out.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're on a phone call, Jenna.
I don't mind. So
But
All right, let's see. Not we do have a release next one, not a one bottle release next week.
it's going to be
it's
a lottery.
Yeah, the Burns
It'll be a
Burn bottle
night lottery.
release coming next Thursday, I want to say. The next Monday is the outturn preview.
yeah. So Scott and I will be doing the January outturn preview on Monday the 9th.
9th, that's what I was going to say.
And then, the outturn is on the 10th. And then actually we have a really busy January. You're probably going to be seeing a lot of us, actually. You may get sick of us by the end of this.
Look at you guys. You guys won't see me at all. Some of you may see me towards the end of the month, but that's a surprise that you'll hear more about in the next couple of weeks. So,
yeah.
So I'm very excited to see what 2023 brings us all. Hopefully we get to invite Charlie McLean back. See you guys all at those tasting panel experiences. I'm sure we'll talk to many, many of you during our festival season. I'm looking forward to it. Hamish says, come to Maui. Listen, man, I would be on a plane tomorrow. You don't got to convince me. I wish.
We're working on some.
Yeah, we're working on some new cities to see where we can get ourselves. You might see Jenna in a few new places. You might see me, my ugly mug, in a few new places. Scott's not within a 12-hour drive of anywhere.
I'm 12 hours from everywhere.
Yeah, you'll
at least
see
12 hours from everywhere.
you'll see his face at least online all the time. So you guys have that to look forward to. Or if you're just feeling it, just go to our website and you can see one of his many nifty bottle reviews on the pages. You can always see his face there. So
That's right.
We'll have a good year for sure. Excited to definitely kick off.
Yep.
In January. So, but for now, we're gonna take a rest and
enjoy the new year. And
the new year.
I'm gonna drink some whiskey this weekend. I don't know about everybody else, but my belly doesn't do too well with bubbles, so I got to figure out what to drink at the crack of midnight.
You can drink whiskey out of a champagne glass. I did that with Taylor Ashley. If I don't know if Taylor is here tonight, but he was kind enough to share some beautiful whiskey with me when I was in Orlando, and we were looking for glassware, and all we could find were champagne flutes, and that's what we did, and it was fantastic. So I can tell you that you can drink whiskey out of a champagne glass.
I can personally say I've drank out of many, many, many different glass types or plastic types or whatever happens to be in a hotel room, but I've never drank out of a champagne flute.
Give it a go.
Whiskey, so I need to try that.
Give it a go.
And only if you don't like champagne, if only you could get some sake.
I also have some of that. I do have bubbles, but after my first half glass, my stomach's like, listen, man, there's too much going on in there. I need something else.
This is too effervescent for my dinner.
Is. There's too many bubbles. There's too much. My belly doesn't like that stuff. I'm old, guys. It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
it doesn't work like it did when I was 15, eating anything I found and drinking 12 orange sodas for fun at 3 a.m.
Gray hair's glistening in your ring light, Zach.
I wish. I hear I have one or two somewhere. I don't know. I get told that though.
In 1988, the last time I was in New York, you were 6 years away from being born. Yeah, you're old.
What?
All right. Well, cheers, everybody, and remember, as we say on the back of all of our bottles, Scotch Malt Whiskey Society is not for swigging, glugging, or knocking back. Please drink responsibly. Cheers.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.